here we are. On to the next project. This chunk, which probably you can't even see any color in it, maybe just a few little flashes. Soak it a little bit in some water. So this stone is obviously a lighter color opal from the Australian Opal fields. Same mine as that 23 carat stone that I just cut. It simply just doesn't have as much carbonate of manganese in it combined with the silica, which creates a black opal. If it did, at this weight, you'd be looking at an extraordinarily valuable stone. But some really interesting color play in here, because there is a really interesting violet color that appears that I'm going to try and center the stone on. As it was as a rub, it didn't face correctly. It was almost like this, and the flash didn't show, so the idea is just to angle it to make the color face correctly. It increases the value dramatically. So I've already taken it from 80 carats. What's a guess? I would guess 68, 65, 60.51. So I've already taken a lot of weight down off this. Still got a lot to take down. It's probably going to end up being 40 carats or so. A lot of that weight is actually on the underside, which is just potch common opal, which is dead weight, which needs to go. The other point of this is that there's some weird murky points just here of kind of a murky potch mixed with clay. Weird textured stuff. Not really a great description I just gave you. But it can shrink, right? Because it's separate from the opal, and it can shrink and it can cause movement in the stone and instability. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that all away, and then we're going to center the color here. So I'm going to have to bring the edges up here, bring this in here, and it's going to be quite a long oval, which is okay. With these pieces, the idea is just to work with what's given you with the rough, and you'll be left with a very high cabochon as such. If you look down the base of the opal, it's actually darker in the base. So this is the eternal quandary which you face with cutting, which is, do I move down further on this color bar? Because if you can see, as I'm looking into the camera, it's almost transparent. So it's crystal. Whereas down this base here, in the last 2/3 of the stone, it's actually much darker. If I'm to cut down onto the darker spots here, the possibility is that you could 2x, even 3x the per carat value by darkening the stone up, and thus bringing the colors out, but they'll pop. However, you're going to lose a lot of weight and create a lot of risk. The benefit of being so active with all of these stones and so active trading these stones in the market is I know what's needed, and what's needed is size, what's needed is large cabochon, what's needed is bright colors. Those things are more needed than chasing the color down the bottom, because that won't necessarily move fast, or it won't necessarily create as much momentum. So what I'm in turn looking to do is create a velocity of money, a velocity of trading to increase sales in order to advance all the projects in Lightning Ridge. These 6-7 exploration projects I want to do around the fields there with drilling and all of this stuff, and then advance rough purchasing, like this large network. There's no bank involved, there's no insane investor, billionaire funneling zillions of dollars in. It's literally just me on the merits of my skill. We got cash, okay, we're gonna buy more. So there's a positive and negative to that. You know, I'm not beholden to anyone. I'm not answering to anyone, which creates a certain element of freedom. It also greatly sharpens your skill. There is no safety net. The only option is success or the street. So onwards we go with this piece. Hopefully it turns out well. So significantly downsized this piece here. It had to be done because that grey muck I was telling you about just ripped right into the side of the stone. Now it might seem like a tragedy to some, but we have to look at the silver lining, glass half full approach, because this is just the way it had to be. As this whole thing was unfolding on the wheel, as it was just ripping deeper into the side of the stone and I had to push further and further in, yes, it was stressful, a tinge of sadness perhaps, a tinge of frustration as well, because it's just going further and further and I can see it's just going deeper and deeper. I've got the torch shining into it and I can see it's just not ending. However, within that moment, we're going to have to, you know, pivot and create something that's aesthetic with what we've got, right? So that is this. I decided to make an incredibly funky shaped high cabochon. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm gonna have to come up with a name for it. Because to me, aesthetically, this is actually really cool because I never see this. I like things that I don't see. I like things that are rare. I like things that stand out no matter the price range. So how this attracts me is this, the sides. Now this is still rough, right? So it won't show the full color spectrum, but you should be able to see the way that the color shoots down the sides of the opal there. This means you'll have that effect from the side. Obviously you'll get the effect from the top, this side too. So hopefully the color gets in. But what I'm talking about is just that massive presence with the high cap. You know, at the very least, it's something interesting and something different. I really think as I look down at this piece that there's really not that much to do. I should be able to keep it at 30 carats. Simply just rip this ridge off here slightly, just round it, smooth it out, bring it in, and Bob's your uncle, as we say in Australia. So now, time for sleep, time to reassess. Okay, so I have just finished this very interesting and, to me, a spectacular piece. Something that's very unique, something that you don't see every day. So The original piece of semi-formed rough, the rub, was 83 carats, roughly 80 carats. And as I was cutting it, there were significant difficulties because bits of potch were opening up on the side and really unsightly, so I had to cut away, which resulted in this large carat weight loss. However, it was to be expected. 30 carats was kind of the benchmark where I had to keep it above and was the estimate to where it should be. So within the expectations, it's well within that, and I'm very happy. It's a very interesting stone. It's lighter in body tone, so it is what I would term a semi-black opal. Some people would look at it and think, oh, it's crystal. It's not, because there's actually quite dark potch underneath, and so as I was polishing and cutting into the stone, I noticed it was darkening up, which obviously increases the value because it brings out the multicolor pattern that you see in it. The whole idea of this is almost like a sculpture. It's the visualization of a piece with a very high cabochon. It's almost like a bridge where you get the entire proportion of the stone and you can see it from both sides. And I hope you can see it in the video, but you'll see the striations of the pattern, some coming straight down to the base of the stone and almost these lightning bolt kind of effects. So it's not normal to cut a cabochon this high. It's not normal to have material to be able to cut a cabochon this high. But when I do, absolutely I will. Having unique things, having interesting things, things that excite you, things that you're excited to have, that you're excited to show, this is the main priority. It's very simple thinking, but it's very important thinking because, you know, a lot of people, they'll cut things or they'll present things in their work, in their business that maybe they're not enthused about. They think it fits within a certain subset of what they need to be presenting. It fits within the box that they believe. So for me personally, I like to get outside of the box. You know, not with everything, but when you can, absolutely. You can simply see with the eye when you look at the stone its quality because it has depth. So it is a knobby opal, as in it comes in a nodule form of rough as opposed to seam forms, which a lot of crystal opal around the world is found in. This has a three-dimensional layer effect. So you look in the color in the front and you can see the color moving down into the stone. It's present, the color is accurate, the color is in the right tone, so it's presenting everything at the highest possible level for what this stone is. For the oranges, for the blues, the greens, you know, it's presenting it in the best possible fashion. And simply with the naked eye, if you looked at it, you would be like, oh, that's more attractive. And that's the reason why, because it's this nodule opal that is specific to Lightning Ridge that creates this depth, this three-dimensional color as you move in. It almost creates a world within a world of this stone. This for sure is still over 30 carats, between 30 and 35. I'm guessing I've got to take it off this dopstick, put it in the freezer for a minute, not forget about it. As it is, it's a success for me and I'm very happy with it. But this is, you know, a statement piece. It's bold, it really is, it flashes and shines out at you. As I'm finding in the modern market, what is specifically mattering more than really the super jet black stones, the N1 stones that are, you know, really old mine material. What matters is the power of the color, the saturation of the color. We call it the luster, the color that pops at you. It's bright, it's fun, it's interesting. And that's what this stone is. And at over 30 carats, when it's finally set in a piece for a ring, for a lady or a man, maybe such as myself. Maybe I'll wear this myself one day, just put it in a ring and just show up in a video just with this on. Who knows? It creates that kind of liveliness that is very appealing today and very movable. So happy with the result, and it's on to the next project.